The name Land Cruiser, as soon as you hear the word Land Cruiser, you immediately think of travel, four-wheel drive and the best. I've always owned Land Cruisers. My first ever vehicle was a 1972 FJ40 short wheelbase Land Cruiser, and this is a Land Cruiser, I think 12 or 13, I'm not quite sure, I've lost track of the amount of Land Cruisers, and this one I prefer to have because it's the ideal vehicle for travelling remote. I've always liked the troop carriers. As I say, if you're travelling remote and you need to sleep somewhere, you can sleep in the back of the troop carrier, no problem at all. And no matter where you travel in Australia, there's always a Toyota dealer, even in the remotest towns. I'll put this Troopy number one. Yeah. This Troopy I had bought brand new in 2015, and I have not had one problem or issue with it in that whole time. And most of the kilometres on it have been from our travels around this country. The only custom that I've done to the vehicle is I've got a dual battery system. We've had to put airbags underneath. As far as the motor's concerned, why would you bother spending the money on a Toyota? If you buy a Land Cruiser, why do you have to spend thousands of dollars? I actually normally would have a fridge sitting there, and we have a mattress that goes in there, and we've got the drawers. Yeah, that's a special tow ball there for an off-road caravan, so it sort of moves around in that direction. Yeah, well, I'm only short, so it makes it ideal that I can just fit in the back. I don't even have to drop the front seats. This is how much I like the Toyotas. I've got all the old brochures over the years from all the vehicles that I've bought. I've kept all the brochures from all the Land Cruisers that I've bought. Yeah. $8,000.
$8,000
Yeah.
to buy that car.
To buy that car in.
As a new vehicle.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the year of that. That's the station wagon.
What's yours? And as far, when you're holding them up, as far as what you're able to recollect, can you tell us what car they were about when you bought it? And
yeah, I had the BJ42. That's not the BJ42. It's here somewhere. I started off with petrol short wheelbase Land Cruisers, the FJ40. Then I had then the BJ42, which is the diesel. I've never had an FJ55, but you still see these on the road in Australia. These are very rare now. People like to collect them now. We've got some people in the club who've got them as Then we go up to the new 70 series. 70 series. And I thought you might be interested in seeing this. That's our first Land Cruiser Club magazine. Early 70s. I joined the club in 1975 as a teen, and at the time I joined the committee 2 years later, and I was the youngest person ever to be on the committee at that stage. I'm now a life member. It was a 1972 FJ40 short wheelbase. We've got another vehicle at home, but it's an Isuzu. I've never personally owned a car, I've only owned Land Cruisers. Yeah. And when I bought my first Land Cruiser, all my mates had cars, really nice flashy cars. They couldn't understand why I bought a Land Cruiser. Well, that's the good thing about the club. Everyone's very friendly, very family orientated, and we've all got similar interests, which makes it work. Yeah. But I've been on the committee many times over the years and helped organise different functions within the club, and I think it's probably one of the best clubs in Australia. We've taken it everywhere across the top. We just spent over 3 years on the road, up in the Kimberleys and Cape York. That's where we spent most of our time. We spent the whole 3 years up there. We also tow a caravan, but so we've got a bit of both. If it's extreme remote, it's just the troopy. We first did the Kimberleys as teenagers. Yeah, we've been back probably 5 or 6 times now, and we're going back again next year. A lot of Australians do it, but I do a lot of photography and walking, so you know, I not only just do the forward driving, but it's also the nature side of it, with birds and the flora and fauna. So I do get involved in surveys on certain species of birds up in the Kimberley. Yeah. It's a passion. Yeah, always has been since I was a child. Well, we do have an off-road caravan which we tow behind the troopy, no problem at all. And we'll just find a base, and like there was one particular area there we stayed about 8 months, just finding a particular bird and just tracking it and keep doing surveys on that particular bird. But apart from that, we sleep either under the stars in the caravan or in the back of the troopy. Yeah, we do. You always got to make sure that you've got enough money, because fuel's the biggest expense. And we did get offered some work in one of the areas, and we worked in a place up in the East Kimberley for a small while. And I did some touring as far as guiding was concerned, taking small groups out to see some of the bird life that's up there. And we had access to a couple of private properties, and at the same time, the national parks up there, it's just teeming with bird life at certain times of the year. I think the appeal of troopies in Australia, or any Toyota Land Cruiser, is the reliability, because I find a peace of mind if we do a lot of travelling on our own, just the one vehicle, and just knowing that there's going to be a Toyota dealer at the next town or city. So I think that's the main thing, is the reliability and the strength and the motor that's under the bonnet. Well, the whole of the country is different. Whether you're up in the tropics, in the centre of Australia you've got the deserts, and down south you've got the high country, you've got different sort of terrain. That's a good thing about Australia. It is so big and vast, and it just varies no matter where you go in Australia. But you know, my favourite areas are the tropics because of the nature, and the deserts.